It has been my honor and privilege to work with the various teams to write this Gillette Children's Healthcare Press series. The series started with Lily Collison writing the first book, Spastic Diplegia, Bilateral Cerebral Palsy. Lily has lived experience as the parent of her son born with cerebral palsy. I first met Lily in this capacity. Her level of knowledge about her son's condition was clear to me from the outset. She had gone to great lengths to educate herself so that she could advocate for her son and her family. She convinced me several years ago about the need for a book about CP for those with lived experience. For decades, Gillette has had a commitment to worldwide education. In partnership with Gillette Children's, she shared her journey and knowledge. The publication of that book in 2020 launched Gillette Children's Healthcare Press. Gillette Children's became one of the first children's hospitals in the world with its own publishing arm. Lily's background in medical science and her passion positioned her to lead this effort. The first book received very positive reviews not only from families and individuals with the condition, but also professionals from diverse backgrounds worldwide. We received feedback that there was need for other books relevant to other conditions. We formed teams to write the healthcare series, maintaining a focus on high-quality, detailed information with an international focus geared toward people and families living with these various conditions. Families and professionals working well together is key to best management of any condition. These books underscore the importance of that family and professional partnership.
The term spastic diplegia derives from spastic, meaning the type of high tone, di, meaning two, referring to the two affected lower limbs, and plegia, which is the Greek word for stroke. With spastic diplegia, the lower limbs are much more affected than the upper limbs, which frequently show only fine motor impairment. Spasticity is the most common type of atypical tone present, although dystonia can be present as well. The Gross Motor Function Classification System, GMFCS, offers an indication of the severity of the condition. This book is relevant to those at GMFCS levels 1 to 3, those who are capable of walking independently or with an assistive walking device. GMFCS levels 1 to 3 accounts for the majority of individuals with spastic diplegia. This chapter explains spastic diplegia from birth through adolescence. It should contribute to your understanding of how the condition arises and develops over time. It provides information intended to help parents understand the diagnosis and what to anticipate as their child grows into adulthood. It provides adolescents and adults with an understanding of their condition. Chapter 3 addresses the management of the condition during childhood and adolescence. Chapter 4 is devoted to spastic diplegia in adulthood.
STR surgery was the first major surgery I had that wasn't on one of my legs. On the one hand, spinal surgery is more serious, given the importance of the spinal cord. But from another perspective, it was just one incision. And given that I was able to be up and about relatively quickly, the recovery did seem easier. The first part of rehab involved lying entirely flat for 72 hours to let the area around the spinal cord heal. The spinal cord is surrounded by fluid, and the concern is that the fluid could leak out of the incision with too much movement. This 72 hours of bed rest was quite boring, but the good folks at Messrs. Netflix, Hulu, and Apple TV provided a lot of diversion. After the enforced bed rest, you start to come up to a sitting position gradually. My memory is something like 10 degrees per hour over an afternoon. Sensation came back slowly to my feet, and it gave rise to a very strange feeling of all 10 of my toes individually against the blanket. Legs, I wrote to someone at the time. I have legs with feet and so many toes. From sitting, you can return fairly quickly to normal. I took my first steps with a walker 3 days post-op. The big concern during this time was falling, and so almost all of my walking was done with a loop around my chest that someone behind me could take a hold of. If possible, I recommend not doing the surgery in the middle of winter, But in true glass-half-full style, I just thought of the ice and the snow outside the hospital as relearning how to walk on hard mode. Relearning to walk was trippy in both the literal and figurative senses of the word. I would struggle to send the correct signals from brain to feet. I'd try to move my foot 2 inches to the left and end up 6 inches out in front. I stayed on crutches for about 4 weeks, as long as I was an outpatient at Gillette. I think I moved on to 2 crutches in part to not have to transport a walker on a plane back to San Francisco. I stayed using 2 crutches for probably another 8 or 9 months. COVID impacted my ability to see a physical therapist face-to-face, but as I write this 3 years later, I walk independently around the house or in the office, but otherwise use a crutch for uneven surfaces, long distances, or unfamiliar terrain. 3 years on, I'm glad I chose to do SDR, although as I said, I'd recommend not doing it during the winter or before a global pandemic. I'm looser with less spasticity and less tone. This presents itself in everyday life in ways such as being able to sit cross-legged for the first time as an adult. I'm also better able to bring my knees up to my chest, such as when sitting down and putting on socks. Somewhat strangely, I lost a lot of the ability to regulate temperature in my feet. They were very stiff and cold, and I found it very uncomfortable to walk around barefoot, even just the short distance from the bedroom to the bathroom. My guess is that, since nerve endings do regulate temperature, my feet were having a harder time of this, since 29% of those nerves were severed. With seemingly no explanation, this issue seemed to have resolved itself 3 years on, and I can now walk around barefoot comfortably.
I have been involved in editing and providing insights into how rehabilitation therapies can play a role in the lives of people with cerebral palsy. It has been a great privilege to be a part of this important work. I hope those who read these books feel empowered about their own or their loved one's potential to live a full and beautiful life.
I'm a physical therapist, also known as a physiotherapist, and a clinical educator at Gillette Children's. Editing Spastic Diplegia, I focused on sharing practical tips and real-world insights from working with patients who have the condition. My hope is that this book will empower families and individuals with tools and knowledge to improve quality of life and promote independence.
At the Cerebral Palsy Foundation, we know that knowledge has the power to change lives, and that's why we are so proud to have supported the Gillette Children's Healthcare Book Series. We believe that these books are more than guides. They are actually the lifelines for parents and adults with cerebral palsy and for the professionals who care for them. What makes them so unique is how they combine expert knowledge with the lived experiences of people with cerebral palsy and their families. They offer clarity for parents, empowerment for adults, and practical insights for professionals to improve care. This series really does fill a long-standing gap by addressing the real needs of the cerebral palsy community. And we are so honoured to have played a part in creating a resource that will inspire and empower so many lives. So please join us in celebrating the authors and the editors and everyone who worked on this incredible series.
Gillette Children's Healthcare Press furthers Gillette's vision to create a world in which every child is able to create their own story. These books will serve as a resource to provide information about these conditions and assist families as they look to the future. Not only will patients and families benefit, but we know based on prior publications that other healthcare providers and professionals around the world who work with individuals with complex medical conditions will use these books to further their own knowledge and better serve these patient populations. Gillette strives to build a better world, and I'm incredibly proud to see the publication of this book series do exactly that, furthering Gillette's global advocacy work.